Palate to Palate with Robert St. John and Wyatt Waters is made possible by a generous contribution from Sanderson Farms. Additional funding is provided by this and other public television stations and from viewers like you. Thank you.
All of a sudden, I hear some screaming. I look behind me, and there's the van is there already.
Oh, watch it, watch it!
Grab everything, and it was just rolling. And then try to stop the car, realizing I can't stop the car.
Oh, watch it, watch it!
If you want two Americans who love Italy, we're your guys.
You know, I really fell in love with Italy before I even went there, just through the paintings I studied.
Neither one of us are Italian experts. We mangle the language almost in every sentence.
But we love this place. Turning people on to the food, to the culture, to the art, and just the entire experience.
It's a great place.
We're still learning about Italy.
It's great to watch people experience this.
We went over there and we fell in love with it.
And we love sharing it with other people. We enjoy turning people on to the food, to the culture, to the art, to the scenery, to the people, and just the entire Tuscan experience is so great that, you know, we employ tour guides and people to help us drive around and get around, and people who are way more knowledgeable about the things in this area and the historical monuments and the great places and museums to help us with that. We don't do that because we shouldn't be entrusted to do that. But we love this place and we love sharing it with other people.
It's great to watch people experience this.
Yeah.
To be here and be there.
Okay, this is the painting. I am going to paint this guy, and I'm going to paint it quick. What's our timeline?
I really love painting in Italy because the lifestyle over there just gives itself to you in such a way that makes you want to paint. It involves you in the landscape, the way of life, the pace of life. They've been doing this for such a long time. They really know something about how to live that we could stand to learn from.
Light is a big deal.
There are a few things that are interesting. Like, I like that single lemon in front of the dark part of the terracotta. I like seeing how they used every speck of soil for olive trees, for vineyards.
Good bit of setup here. It's really all set up.
How the architecture had that patina of age that comes only from age. It was just wonderful.
You can't be, you just don't know what's going to happen. That's the thing about working on location. It's never boring. It's never predictable. And that's the good thing. It's also the bad thing. What you do is have to figure out a way to make your lemons into lemonade. Right now, wondering why it is you paint on location when you can just take a photograph and go inside. The energy that comes from working on location is great, and you can't duplicate that. I can't duplicate that with studio work. I'm not saying this is the only way to paint. I'm just saying what charges me and what I use. Actually, it reduces the value, and really, it's pretty cool. I may do this again. Even when I've got all the time in the world, it still works for me to have an awareness and a little bit of a fear and the challenge of getting this complete within the time that I am allotted. We are not here forever. So, you know, get your stuff done while you're here. Years ago, I almost lost my hand. And that was really a wake-up call in a lot of ways. But I remember thinking, wow, if I do get to paint, I really need to do something with this, because you just kind of take that for granted. You don't think, well, you know, I'm going to lose my hand. And one day you almost lose your hand.
So our friends Anna Gloria and Enzo,
Where I watch, here or here or here, where?
they own these two villas that we stay in over here, and they become our friends. They're great people. Enzo actually tried to kill Wyatt the other day.
Oh, he didn't mean to kill me, but I guess I would have been just as dead.
So if you remember the day before, We were in San Gimignano, and Wyatt, while painting, almost got run over.
Now, if I can just not ruin the painting, I'll be happy.
The next morning, very next morning, I dropped Wyatt off at the Castellaria Villa to do some painting, and I left. And he had his second near-death experience while trying to paint.
Third time's a charm. This was only number 2. What happened was Enzo came to speak with us while I was working on the painting, and fortunately, I chose to stand. Sometimes I sit down to paint, which would have maybe been a very different outcome.
Last day when Wyatt and you watch the countryside, the Wyatt, the painting.
Oh, he's speaking with me, and all of a sudden, I hear some screaming. I look behind me, and there's the van is there already.
Oh, watch it, watch it.
Well, he had pulled in and not put the parking brake on.
Grab everything, and it was just rolling. And I try to grab everything and then try to stop the car, realizing I can't stop the car.
Oh, watch it, watch it.
My heart, the explosion, because my car got the direction, the Wyatt dog.
Enzo jumps in the car, puts the brake on, and you know, we're saved. Of course, it's run over everything.
Mamma mia, it's terrible.
That picture is beautiful with him doing this.
Fortunately, it straddled everything and nothing got crushed. Everything was fine. But at the
Your
end,
art supplies, your easel,
yeah,
and all
everything's
that?
fine. Everything turned out fine. And Enzo's going, "Mamma mia, mamma mia," which I thought was just something they did in the
They
movies.
really do say that.
They did this in real life.
I know that because when I brought it up to him later that day, I said, I heard you almost ran over Wyatt. He went, Mamma mia. He did the whole thing, man. Enzo, other than that incident, Enzo is great. We now actually call that the Enzo incident.
Yes.
We have the San Gimignano incident. We have the Enzo incident.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's the end of our incidents.
I hope so. I really do. I mean, I'm
You're still alive.
alive.
If I don't have this position, right, it was terrible because every people arrive in the car.
I'm doing great.
And why? No problem, don't you? No problem. No problem.
That's the thing. Wyatt apologized for almost being killed.
It's broke.
Oh, nothing's broken. No, we're fine. We grabbed it. We're all good.
I'm so glad I turned my head. I almost killed everybody. I saw Cavalletti, camera jumping all over. I'm so glad I turned my head. I was so embarrassed.
And Wyatt, it's okay. It's okay.
It was scared to death. I'm so sorry.
Everything turned out fine, though. See, you're the lucky
No,
man.
because usually
You're a lucky
I
man.
have something, but
You're looking at it wrong. And then we go to Florence.
Of all the great cities in Europe, Florence is by far my favorite. And, you know, it's the birthplace of the Renaissance. There are a lot of factors that go into that, but the food is unmatched in my mind to any in Italy.
Robert handles the eating end of this and all the food things. I handle the art things to do with painting. And I like that because when you're on a trip, if you really want to take something home with you, you can take a piece of art with you, something you've made there.
One of my favorite places is
Trattoria Mario, which is always my go-to for lunch in Florence.
They don't open until noon, which is about now, and it's going to get packed. They have one bathroom. The reason we chose this restaurant is when we were on the long trip, we were seated next to a woman, and she said, I've been here every Friday for the last 15 years. So the next time we were in here, we were seated by a guy who spoke very good English. I said, oh, he said, that's nothing. I've eaten here every day for 12 years. I thought, my Lord, he said, oh, that's nothing. You see, he's been here every day for 20 years. And he waves and says, hey, so, you know, you can't get a bigger endorsement than that. And we've been back here a lot of times. I think it's very special. They don't see people down here. They made an accommodation for us, and we appreciate what they've done.
We're about to go see Zecchi's, popularly known by so many people as the greatest art store in Europe. I was painting Duomo the first time I was working on the book here, and I was looking up there, and I would look down and see all these American students walking around with portfolios. And I said, what's the deal? What's going on? And they said, oh, there's the best art supply store right here, just 3 stores behind it. So now we go to Zecchi's. Zecchi's. Oh, my God, Zecchi's is closed today. Today is not the day for me.
And here we are at Zecchi's, the art store of Italy. And it's closed.
This is the store, though, right here. Let me in, Zecchi. I want you. I love you.
Luckily, someone told us they'd be back in a couple of hours.
3? Okay. You are so kind. Thank you.
But it's no problem. We'll come back later this afternoon. They'll be open. That's the way it is here.
The hours on stores are not always what we consider to be regular hours, but they don't have a problem with it. So they're closed right now. Probably going home to take a nap and maybe have a sandwich or a glass of wine. Back at 3.
So while Wyatt went to paint, I took the group to the Medici Chapel and to see the David.
You are about to spend about the next 3 hours with the absolute best tour guide in Florence, Italy. You really are.
What we're doing today is the visit of the Museum of the Medici Chapels, which is a wonderful museum, burial place of all the members of the Medici family. The dynasty ended. The family died out, no children. This was in 1743. And the greatness of this lady is that she was aware that with her death, that was it. So before dying, she wrote a will. It's written, I want to leave to the city of Florence all the incredible artistic patrimony collected by my family for over 3 centuries and a half. And she also wrote, all these works of art have to stay in Florence forever. And she added, this will be for the education of the future generations. And the most incredible thing she wrote was, this will be for the joy of the many foreigners that will come to Florence. So look at what kind of visionary this woman was. All these coat of arms are made in mosaic, Florentine mosaic. And I want to show you something that will be difficult for you to believe that it's a mosaic. But it is a mosaic, nothing painted. Here Michelangelo is architect, and he is the sculptor who made the decorations. This is the last effort by Michelangelo in Florence, representing the 4 transitory moments of the day. Day, night, twilight, and dawn. The representation of time, the continuous course of time, time that destroys everything, you know? And it seems like Michelangelo is suggesting it's not time that flies. We fly, and very quickly.
While While we were basking in the genius of Michelangelo, Wyatt was across town creating his own masterpiece. Florence has been about art for hundreds and hundreds of years. And, you know, I think that's one of the things that we as Americans go over and just truly appreciate.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, when I'm over there painting, it's not a big deal for me about painting. It's just an everyday event over there. Sometimes people here, they think, in America, think, well, why are you doing that? But it's just normal over there. That's the way it is. That's you. You? Hi.
Fantastico.
Fantastico. Accordion.
Michelangelo would never respect the times of his commissions. Michelangelo would work only when he felt the inspiration. Michelangelo needs to have the right enthusiasm to assault the blocks of marble. Before dying, Michelangelo left written, "In vain I deprived my life of happiness. In vain I sacrificed all my life to the idol of art." And that in vain shows all the frustration of a man who probably would have liked to be a normal man with a regular job, a family, children, and realized instead that only through his works of art that he was able to communicate with the rest of the world.
You know, you can see photographs of it, you can see it in books, but until you see the David in person, you just don't know.
Another painting done in Italy.
Not only did I get a great accordion painting on the street, that was wonderful, but this time I go back to Zecchi's, they're open, and I get the brush of my dreams. The brush of my dreams. After shopping at Zecchi's, getting the great brush there, we're able to get back with the group and experience more of Florence. There's some wonderful people doing this. How was David? Is he doing fine?
Yeah.
He's still okay.
Good. I miss him too.
He just came out from the shower and he still needs the dress.
Okay.
Yeah, and so you just got to make sure and not get trampled by the horses. You kind of need eyes in the back of your head in Florence. The thing is there are masterworks everywhere you look. Everywhere you turn is some artistic masterpiece, whether it be sculpture, art, fountains, food.
That's
Art's everywhere.
Paintings that we did our time here, we were working on the book. We spread everything out and we had 128 paintings out there.
We actually went in the vault and spread out 128 of Wyatt's watercolors, and it was the first time we had ever really seen all of the work together.
To me, it's like, you know, a diary. You remember what happened that day, or you know, you remember almost forgetting your paper in Como. It was like we were in Italy again.
Yeah, you're right about that. So you think about that, 10 weeks. and 128 watercolors. And the thing about those 70 days, those 10 weeks, about 7 of them were travel days. So 63 days, he finished 128 watercolors from the southernmost tip of Sicily to the Alps.
But when we saw everything together, remember that moment back at the museum? It was just apparent. It's got the winding serpentine road. It's got the, you know, the vertical cypresses, the terracotta roof of the villas, and you know, olives, vineyard, rolling quilted hills, and it was just the most Italian thing. That was the quintessential painting of this group of what is the Italian experience for us in Tuscany.
What I learned early on when we're working on the first book is you let the artist be the artist and the subjects he chooses. But I think eventually we knew that painting, you know, we kept going back to that painting for the cover. You know, they talk about Paris at night being the city of lights, but I'm going to tell you, Florence at night is an amazingly beautiful, quiet, serene place. So at the end of an awesome day in Florence, we end up at one of my favorite restaurants and really one of the most unique dining experiences in all of Florence, Teatro del Sale, run by Chef Fabio Picchi. You know, that place is just great. It's in an old theater. You have to join as a member. And, you know, they've got an old world kitchen with, you know, a wood-fired stove and a spit and a rotisserie. And the guy comes to the window and calls out each course. It's just really, really cool, unique experience. You know, they don't do lines in there. It's a free-for-all.
Yeah, well, I understand. I got there, I was washing my fingers down there. I think I was going to crawl back a nub or something.
Ci sono gli gnocchi di semolino alla romana e il farro gratinato in forno con la besciamella. Mangiate poco tutto in generale, soprattutto poco pane e poca schiacciata quando uscirà. Grazie, grazie, grazie per l'attenzione.
You know, we've been there a couple of dozen times, and the food is great, the atmosphere is great, but one of the highlights of the night, for me at least, is the fella in the back. He's been there every time we've dined there, and he works hard, and you can tell he just loves it, and he's passionate about it, and they let him call out the chicken course, and it's great. It's a great moment in the restaurant.
And he really does become the star of the evening. It's a moving thing. It really is.
To my mind, Fabio Picchi is the top chef in Florence, one of the top chefs in Italy. He has 5 restaurants right there in the same area. And, you know, top off the night, we got to hang with him for a minute.
Here again.
Yeah. Tell us about this. It is so light and it's so good.
It's a semolino.
Semolina here.
Yeah, semolino with butter, olive oil, and Parmesan cheese.
That's it.
And my fingers.
That's the magic ingredient.
And this?
This is old core. This is good, huh? Beets.
Right.
Is old core, farro, huh?
Right.
And ricotta, and stock, and Parmesan cheese. And
that's it.
And my fingers.
Oh, nice. And what makes the meatball so light? Is it chicken?
No.
It's not chicken.
No.
I was wrong. It's not chicken.
Before I make with the chicken, now it's a farro, the same. It's the old corn for the mountain.
Old corn.
Old corn. Ricotta cheese, Parmesan cheese, eggs, good eggs.
Yeah, good eggs.
Good eggs.
Right.
Non-industrial eggs. And my fingers.
He's been in the restaurant business since he was 26, right here at Cibreo, and this is Teatro del Sale, and we're huge fans. Thanks for having us here.
He loves you.
Thank you for everything. Viva Mississippi.
Yes, Viva Mississippi.
What a theatrical guy. It was a great experience.
I think what's really cool is to be with people when they experience Florence for the first time, to see the looks on their faces, to be a part of that experience. I was there when my daughter first tried chocolate, and the look on her face was similar to a lot of what you see when you take them to that great city.
It's like you get to share your first time with them.
And here's the thing, we're going all over Tuscany with these folks.
This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Many of the paintings seen on today's program, plus many others, are featured in An Italian Palate Cookbook. This beautiful volume also includes authentic Italian recipes. An Italian Palate Cookbook. Palate to Palate with Robert St. John and Wyatt Waters is made possible by a generous contribution from Sanderson Farms. Additional funding is provided by this and other public television stations, and from viewers like you. Thank you.